That's one of the worst things that is happening in this country today, that the exclusivity, the harm, the hate is going to really do a lot of damage that we shouldn't have to experience here in America.
Welcome to Superpower with Kristine Milkovich, the podcast where we help you unleash your inner hero. Whether you're a change maker, a trailblazer, or just looking to level up, this is the space to uncover your unique superpower and transform it into unstoppable momentum. Join me as we dive deep with inspiring guests, sharing their game-changing insights, empowering us all to be the hero of our own stories. Get ready to embrace your deepest purpose, own your power, and change the world one bold move at a time. In today's episode, I sat down with Anita Legacy Blue. Anita has so many credentials and hats and things she's putting out in the world. I'll just list a couple. She is a 35-year retired Air Force veteran professional. She is a national realtor. She's a motivational speaker. She's a conference guru. And she is a mother, a grandmother, a spouse. She leans into her community through her equity and inclusion and advocacy work. You are going to absolutely love this episode. Well, we have an exceptional guest on Superpower today. Her resume is long. I mean, it is amazing the things that this woman has done in her illustrious career. I will let all of the listeners dive deeper and check that out on LinkedIn and all the social media assets and places you can find this incredible human. But with that being said, today on Superpower, we are welcoming Anita Legacy Blue.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
Good morning.
morning. Thank you so much. You know, for folks listening, we don't know what day it's going to be, but for us, Anita, right, you and I this morning, even though we're in different time zones, it is Thursday morning and we have lives to start outside of this podcast, right? Careers and pets and kids and spouses and maybe some laundry. I don't know, a dish or two to clean, all the glamorous stuff. That's a nod to Sheila E. Little glamorous life there. But, you know, Anita, the start of this podcast, I have the great fortune of professionally and industry wise meeting you about 2 years ago. And I cannot wait to get to know you better. I cannot wait to deepen that. And this is certainly one of those steps. But meeting you through the Real Estate National LGBTQ plus Alliance organization, that for folks that have been following Superpower, they've heard about that a few times because you know how passionate I am about it and that we both have, you know, many arms in that organization at this point. But before we get into your background, and I'm going to ask loads of questions and get to know you and who you are. But how did you go from being a 35-year retired Air Force professional to jumping into the real estate lane? And kind of just for, like, again, the people listening that have not met you and that aren't in an organization that you're aligned with, tell us, just kind of take it from there. I want to hear all about that because that's a very tenured career. So maybe just lead with that.
Awesome. Well, first of all, Kristine, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm always humbled by invitations, and I just really appreciate it for someone that's interested enough in me to want to have a conversation. And so I kind of started, I've been serving in the military, and I was, preparing for retirement. And so what do I want to do? How do I want to continue to serve my community? And, my supervisor who I was working with kind of mentioned he was doing real estate. And he's like, why don't you try real estate? You'd be good at it. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't know. I'm not sure. He said, hey, you know what? If you want to do it, I'll actually pay for it for you. And I was like, okay, well, that helps. And so I pursued that. He was very gracious. I actually worked with him as a broker initially and went through the class. Was lucky enough, put in the work to actually pass that test the first time. So I give all honor to God for that because I was really nervous. And so that kind of started my career in real estate. Working with him, I was still active duty at the time.
Wow.
And so I wasn't as into it as I am now. And so I started that, retired, and immediately kind of wrote the couple of the book. I have a couple of books. That first book right there, Basic Success, is what I wrote and retired on the same day. I released my first book and then I retired the same day and started, with my military career.
Wow, Anita, way to be an your real estate career.
I mean, my actual real estate career, real estate career.
Way to be an overachiever on your retirement day. I don't think a lot
Yeah.
of people can put on their CV or their resume, the week they retired, they launched a best-selling book. That is so exciting. So, you were rounding out this very illustrious first of all, thank you for your service, and thank you for your work and serving our country and our communities and our individuals. Thank you, thank you. Secondarily, you're rounding out this incredible career. And so, this person in your life, this professional in your life, clearly saw something in you and saw who you are, knowing you and trusting you and all of your skills and everything you'd bring to real estate. But were you thinking, well, because I don't know your age and it doesn't matter, but it sounds like you might have been kind of young. I mean, your runway's so long, for all blessed with life each day. Your runway is so long ahead of you with all the things you're doing and will still do. So, was it already confirmed that you were gonna, I'm semi teasing, like golf and, drink some cocktails by the pool and really retire? Or was it, I'm gonna retire from that career, and before real estate was sort of brought into your ethers, you were gonna jump into continuing to write and sort of that world?
I always knew I wanted to do something else
Okay.
after retirement. I was relatively young,
Yeah.
and so I didn't want to just go and drink the cocktails on the beach. I wanted to still serve. I wanted to still use and tone my skills, which I've been able to do
Mm,
in the last 4 years. It's only been 4 years since I retired, and
gosh.
I kind of came up just to take it back a little bit. I kind of started marketing and branding myself as Anita Legacy Blue. That's not my real name. I kind of added that like an actress or an actor. You want to have this kind of, something that pops when people hear you. And so I kind of added that to my name. And for me, that meant I had to live up to it.
Mm,
So what am I going to do to live up to that? How will people remember me? How will, I be spoken about once I'm no longer here? And so it's important to me very much so to be a servant, to be in
mm,
service. And so in real estate, I knew that was one of the best ways to serve people. So many people don't feel like they can purchase homes and be homeowners. And so I wanted to add value to that. And then when it was something with the LGBTQ plus alliance came along, I was like, that's my people. That's
mm.
what I've been waiting for, to fit in somewhere and still have a career. And so that's
Wow.
kind of rolled into the alliance and wanting to, be a part of that,
Yeah.
that special group of people.
Yeah. Well, you cut to the chase. It was one of my burning questions because I've never asked you. And I've always thought, God, she has such a cool name. And I've made up all kinds of stories. Like, it was her mom's aunt, or, it was
No.
somebody in her childhood, all the things until I could get you on the show. So there's two things that I would love to learn, and our listeners as well, is how did you come up with that? Because it's stunning and it suits you so well. And where do you, I mean, I know, but where do you live? Where did you grow up before you started your Air Force career? Like, where did, baby Anita Legacy Blue start from? And what is that all about?
So I'm originally from Alexandria, Louisiana. It
Okay.
is central Louisiana, right in the middle of the map. I am the oldest of four children from a single parent mother, and I just always had to be responsible to me, right? I always
Mm,
had to be in, kind of making things move. My mother did her best. She worked two jobs to take care of all of us, but that didn't take anything away from me, and I love her about that. She's no longer with us, but she did not take away from me to have access to be athletic. I was in a three-sport athlete. I did softball, track, and I also played basketball. So I was able to do that from my freshman year all the way till I graduated, and and continue just to strive in the small little town I was in. But what I did know that that town couldn't hold me. I knew there was much more out there. I knew I wanted to experience more, and so I was lucky enough to get an actual basketball scholarship to a junior college in Mississippi. And I went there for 1 year in Ellisville, Mississippi, Jones County Junior College. I was there for 1 year. I was like, I don't like it. I want to go back home.
mm.
And so I went back home for a little while and ended up the next semester going to New Orleans and living with an aunt of mine. She loved on me enough to let me come live with her. So I went to Southern University in New Orleans there for a year. And then I joined the Air National Guard. And so that kind of started my actual military career. I wanted a car, to be honest with you, Kristine. I,
I
I
wanted
wanted a car.
wheels.
Yeah. And, my mother, anyone, wasn't able to, buy that for me. And so that was my initial thought, to be honest.
Mm.
It wasn't to serve the country, to be a hero, I wanted a car. And so I got that, I achieved that goal. I graduated,
And
I
then some.
went to Eastler, and who would have thought that particular goal of wanting a car would take me to 35 years of service continuously.
Isn't that
So that's,
something?
yeah. So I would, you couldn't have told me, but I was able to do that by the grace of God. So I'm very, very excited.
It's those tipping points in life. One of the things that I love about having the gift and the honor of getting in front of people like you and continuing to deepen your story, because so many people need to hear it. There's so many good, juicy bits that folks are going to take away from this 45, 50-minute sitting with you, Anita, is that, those triggers, those tipping points, whatever they are, like a ride for a young person means freedom, right? It means
Mhm.
a sense of adulthood, of making your own way and making your own decisions. So it is interesting when we peel back the layers of our lives and especially our careers or the lanes we get in, whether they're 100% intentional or not, they seem to always go back to these really cool coming of age stories. I can relate to that. I'm going to out myself here. I snuck out of the house when I was 16, also a product of a single mother. My mother raised 3 daughters and, took her car for a little joyride because I didn't have one. So I can relate to that. But I was a bad girl, unlike you.
Yeah. Well, I had moments.
The lessons we learn, right? I will never
Mhm.
live that one down. Not very original. I think that one's pretty stereotypical, unfortunately. So, Anita, thank you for sort of taking us on this journey of sort of this arc of your Air Force career and, how you, my words, got tapped for talent by this gentleman and professional in your life about real estate. So, being a motivational speaker and, like I said, I love reading about my guests because we met each other 2 years ago. It's been in a very professional context and just quite frankly, life is full and we're at our conventions and we see each other and I've
Yeah.
seen you on stage and speak and all the other things. It's hard to go real deep. It's
Yeah.
meaningful and it's on purpose, but it can be a bit surface until you start building those bonds and getting to know folks a little bit better. So that being said, the motivational speaker, the author, and then I'm going to get into your really deep social justice advocacy work in just a second. But did you already have the bent and the desire to be doing that as a voice in your Air Force career? Or has that really been a saw, to say, so to speak, that you have sharpened since jumping into more of this branding, entrepreneur, real estate person? Tell me about that.
I've always pretty much, you know, went with the underdog or someone who didn't belong or someone who looked out of place. I've always been that
Mm,
person to want to bring people close,
mm,
because I've had moments in my life growing up that I did not feel, included, being, LGBTQ, since I was 14, 13, 12 years old, knowing that, I wanted to, pursue that lifestyle. And so I always was looking for someone, or even and I'm in a room and someone's just sitting there by themselves. I'll go sit with them. How you doing? So I've always kind of looked for people or wanted to be that person
mm,
who introduced myself to make someone feel comfortable. I have several people who have said that about me. They tell the story about me. I was just out here and she just came up to me and she just welcomed me, and I think that's very important for people to feel a part of something. That's all we want, really,
mm,
in the end, is to be loved, to be cared about, to be someone to have concern for us, or how
mm,
we feel and where we're at in life. And so I've always been that person that wanted to make people feel special, because I
mm.
know how that wasn't always how I felt. But I got some good people around me now, and so I'm grateful that my giving and my opening my hand and reaching out, people have seen how I've done that, and they continue to do that for me now. And I've had a lot of people like the major who helped me with real estate. He gave me a helping hand, right? And so I think it's a twofold, to pay it forward and receive it and be
Mhm.
willing to receive it. Don't be
Right.
too strong not to receive that.
Oh, that's a drop the mic moment. I think that is everything you just said is so powerful, but allowing yourself to receive when someone sees something in you and wants to
Mhm.
help lift you up and bring you forward. That is so strong, Anita. Oh man, thank you for that reminder. That's a good one. You know, coming from the South and being a young
Mhm.
girl and coming from, as you just shared, and thank you for being so open and transparent, coming from a single mother background. You were very kind and generous, and it wasn't lost on me, because I have some of the same feelings about my mom, Nancy, is, doing the best they can. It's a pretty,
Mhm.
pretty tough order and a long list to be a single parent. So, would you be willing to talk to us a little bit about like when you're coaching or developing or being a mentor or doing a speaking engagement? I've watched your Instagram, I've followed you. It's my job to be a appropriate stalker of my guests. I get to do that, which is so much fun. But I see the boards you're on and I see, and it sounds like this is your servant missional work. Like you are, it's just in
Mhm.
your DNA. So, do you feel like, and if you'd be willing to share any specific stories about it, but has that just come from so much of your background and your growing up and the things that you did experience? I don't know if the word is overcome, but any kind of transparency that you'd like to share, being a Black woman and being a leader and being somebody that has had these really prestigious roles. What are some of the experiences that you've pulled from where you then help other people move through that?
But it's been a journey of people seeing that in me.
Mm,
I've always kind of, hey, how can I help? I think I can say that honestly. I kind of get myself into these things initially by, hey, I'm here. How can I help? If you need anything, call me or let me know. I want to be a part of this. So, however you need me. So, it
mm,
starts that way through my military career, through being the oldest of my siblings. I've always been responsible or committed or dedicated to whatever I say or put my heart into. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be active in what I'm doing. And so I think a lot of that I was able to do through the military. Same thing. I was in equal opportunity in the military. I did multiple careers, but that one was the one that I did the longest. And always looking to help others. Right. A big part of what I did was talk about sexual harassment
mm,
and talk about diversity. So all of that's always kind of came to me easily in being in the lifestyle, as LGBTQ plus, to be able to bring that home for who I am meant a lot to me.
mm,
So I think a lot of the work or the opportunities I've been, afforded have come from me just being open and saying, "Hey, how can I help?" And then
mhm,
working through that, like, "Okay, we want to take you to the next level." And so that's kind of where all of this is kind of come from for me. Just working hard, being there, and being available, and showing up,
mm.
and showing up.
Mhm.
And it's a powerful to people because that's half the battle
Yeah.
is showing up and doing the work. So if you
Yeah.
do that, people will say, "This is who we need." And I be honest with you, I'm not trying to toot my horn, but beep beep.
Do it.
I in all I was just
Please.
thinking last night after all of these. Just last night, I was just thinking everything that I've been involved in, some kind of way. I've been in leadership. I've been on the leadership team or the team that makes decisions, and I'm full force into that now with multiple things, as you say. But it's not bragging. It's just that I've developed it over time too, right? This skill set of being a voice and showing leadership and implementing or actually giving people advice of what I think we might need to do or how we should
Mhm.
approach this. And so I think that's been the biggest things for me, just being there, showing up, and being committed and dedicated to what I say I'm going to do.
Well, there's so much power and so many layers in your response and what you just shared. And one of the things that came up for me specifically, Anita, is that when these opportunities come up, there's a saying, it's an Oprah-ism. I'm going to go to the Church of Oprah, as I like to say. I do it often. Thank you for the giggle. She has said this in many capacities, books, her shows, all that, is that, there's this idea that this word lucky gets thrown around. Oh, that
Mhm.
person's so lucky. Oh, they're so lucky. Oh, what luck of the draw. But the reality is, and you're living it, your life is an example of it, but you also just underscored it here, is that luck is really just when opportunity knocks and you find yourself prepared to say yes. Again, Church of Oprah, I didn't make that up. But man, isn't that powerful, Anita? That has served me.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm saying it right now, and I heard her say it 1,000 years ago when her show was newer. And that's really the example that you're leading. And this now goes back to the second topic: is one thing here at Superpower is all about the equity inclusion lens. That is part of why I wanted to start this podcast. But in addition, we know that includes ageism. It includes so many
Mhm.
isms, like we wouldn't have enough time to go
Mhm.
through them all right now. But it's also that you had this depth of career. You had this proven track record. You had this life of experience. And then you're getting into this next lane, of
Mhm.
leaning in more to the motivational speaking and the books and the stage presence and being, the president of an organization and so on. So talk to me a little bit about that, like just leaning into that pride of, and I'm putting myself in the narrative. I'm in my 50s, so I'm talking about me too. Is, I think there's just an honor and a celebration, and particularly as women, I'll speak for
Mhm.
my voice. I think as women in leadership and in the community, the more that we can keep identifying that, man, when you get this experience, that opportunity is a lot easier to say yes to. So what is your comment to that? What is your thought process?
And I agree 100%. Sometimes I get overwhelmed, just like, it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I had to say in the past, I can't do it. It's not in my capacity at this time.
Yeah.
So, but I kind of did things in reverse, if you will, with opportunity. I think I've had more opportunity because of the alliance, because of that presidency, and being able to be seen and travel and, advocate for, our community. More opportunities have come my way,
Mm.
meeting people and remembering people, or they remember me. I remember when you first started. I was actually, one of the local presidents for the Alliance is how I got started. Started the chapter here in Houston, Texas is where I live. We didn't get to that. I've been
Mhm.
in Houston 20 plus years. So,
Okay.
I had the opportunity more since of last year. It afforded more people to see me. We want to be a part of this. If I just write down, I think I put it in my phone in my notes, just how many things I'm actually doing and a part of right now. But as long as God's given me breath and I can do it and I feel like I can do it, I'm definitely going to push forward. And I'll let people know. I'm a believer in, you don't have one particular lane of failure. So we
Mhm.
always should have two people doing any one thing. We in the military taught me that you have a primary and an alternate. There's no one single point of failure. And so when I get involved in things, I always mention that, like, we need to have a backup. What if I'm not here? If somebody's not here? And so I think that's the biggest thing I can definitely bring to any organization. You don't want to have one single point of failure. We want to have multiple people educated and growing and learning and growing leaders behind us. Mentorship is very important. And so that's just kind of been how I've been able to do it. I kind of went to national first as the president of the Alliance. And then once that was over, I'm working here locally in Houston in our association on multiple committees, to be honest. But I just love it. I love the experience. I love the acceptance.
Mm.
For us being in this community, or for myself in the community, that acceptance piece has been a fight for a long time, right? And so I'm just putting my arms around all the acceptance. And I
Mm.
tell people that all the time, just to be in the room with you all is special to me.
Mm.
I might not have imagined it in my lifetime. And
Wow.
so I just kind of take all the stuff. Hey, thank you for thinking of me. I appreciate it. And so that's I'm very humbled by it.
That goes into my next question I was just about to ask you, Anita, is that, you know, I know for me, my wife and I, our community, the great producers of this show, many, many, many folks that are in my purview, my sphere, my circle, be it my intimate family, be it colleagues and professionals that I respect and admire. It is really freaking tough to manage the weight and the worry and the fear, and I'm going to use my word, the disgust that I'm witnessing right now, all of us, every day, on every app, on every news channel, on the New York Times, on CNN, on the Fox News, because we have to look at that, because if we don't, we're putting our head in the sand, and all the other things, insert, insert.
Hmm.
You just touched on something so powerful. It just moved me this moment, and we can't hear it enough. Is yes, all that's happening. And yes, it feels destructive. And yes, it feels like we're going back, 50 years and all the other things that we're individually and as a collective managing. But you just said, I'm going to show up. I'm going to say yes to the committees. I'm going to go there because they need what I have to say. They have a need and I can help them figure it out. And I can do that through representation. That's what I just heard you say. And God, that's so needed right now, right? I mean, more than ever, don't you
Yes.
think?
Absolutely, absolutely. If it's been some hard moments, and I wanted to say, hey, no, this is not for me, but people are looking at me. I am representing a group of people. And so for me to say, I'm not going to do it anymore, I feel like I'm letting them down. So for me,
Mm,
it's no stopping or quitting or being
mhm.
quiet,
Right.
because that's not my purpose. I know what my purpose is now for sure. And I'm going to just keep moving through it the best way I can, and
Wow.
support from other people like yourself, or encouraging me, or saying, "Hey, you have a superpower." That
Mhm.
helps me, right? Because I know people
Yeah.
are watching, and they're all listening, and seeing how I'm moving.
It keeps the tank full. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
It keeps the
Yeah.
tank full because there's no denying, and thank you for being humble and honest, is it's fatiguing. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean just us as humans, just there's only 24 hours in a day. We talk about this at Superpower a lot, right? You can only hydrate so much and take all the vitamins and keep the exercise going and the rest, meaning sleep, but it is a choice. It is a choice when you are choosing to have advocacy work, inclusion work,
Mhm.
equity work, some might call political work.
Mhm.
You really got to work on keeping that cup full, right? Because it can be burnout central. I mean, I think that that's a real thing. And thank you for saying that, sometimes you've had to say, thank you for the opportunity. That's very generous, or that's, kind of you to want me in your organization, but my plate's full. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that you just said that. Thank you for being so humble and honest about that. The other thing that this brings up, so here at the, I realize I throw around the LGBTQ plus National Alliance a lot because I'm really proud of it, and I don't think we can say it enough. But I forget that for the listeners that don't know what that is a fair housing national inclusion organization. It is a 501c. It was conceived 6-ish years ago, and I have the incredible, distinct honor and privilege to chair as the board of directors for social media and membership development. And I just had the honor of becoming the Region 3 National Delegate board member. And so the reason thank you, Anita, but the reason I just want to be respectful that I say that term a lot, and I want people to actually know what it means and why it's so needed and important. But for you, Anita, being that you became a realtor, you became an alliance member, you jumped into some very aggressive growth, being our national leader. And I feel like it was just yesterday, but it's coming up on 2 years ago. I was at the DC Housing Symposium, and you
Mhm.
and I were walking along the corridor near the Capitol. Very brief, but I remember it like it was yesterday. And
Mhm.
you were leaning into your role and into your leadership. And, I was just, drawn to you, wanting to get to know you, learn from you. And you said, my year in this role is just how much of an impact can I make? What can I bring to the table that's, different than the person before me? No good, bad, or different. Just, it's
Yeah.
my year to bring me to it. And I loved that about you. And the other thing that it made me think of, last month we had a Black History Month lunch and learn program, Anita, here for the Western Washington members and organization, and we packed it out. People are hungry, they need, want, desire. How can I do better? How can I figure out how to have more representation with my Black colleagues, my Black clients, and so on and so forth? But I'm bringing that up because it reminded me that all the affinity groups and all of the organizations that are needed to keep pushing equity inclusion forward are NARAB,
Mhm.
are Washington Realtist, are ARIA, are, NARAP, right? It's like, it's not just a need for one. And I think that, and I want to hear your opinion on this. For me, what it has done is I've become a member of some of those other groups proudfully,
Mhm.
and it's not to check a cool kid list on my CV or so I can tell people I'm a member. It's because they're showing up for me. Their ally partners that are not LGBTQ plus are coming to our programs. They're following our
Mhm.
Instagram. They're engaging. They're saying, how can I help? How can I help you and your group? And that has been so beautiful to see, Anita, here in our region. And it's a life lesson for me. And I've always been from that cloth. I've always wanted to be like, this isn't just my story, right? This is a need for
Right.
everybody's story. So how do you process that? What does that look like for Anita, and how has that sort of impacted your leadership decisions?
It's been beautiful. Last year in my presidency, all the national presidents were female. First of all, that was like our first
Woot
time
woot.
experience from NAREB to NARAB to ARIA, and it just was beautiful. I made some great friendships. Actually, going to be on a panel with ARIA here locally with their upcoming president, invited to speak about diversity. So it's kind of like I'm the diversity person, right? The plug right now, you know. But it's just beautiful that they are showing up for us, right? Are asking us to be a part of what they're doing and not being exclusive. And I
Mm,
think that's one of the worst things that is happening in this country today, that the exclusivity, the harm, the hate is going to really do a lot of damage that we shouldn't have to experience here in America.
mm,
And so I'll just leave that there. But
mm,
I am grateful to those organizations who continue to reach out to me here locally and even nationally. If anyone were to ask me to be a part of anything, I definitely want to continue to spread the word and let people know we are here and we appreciate their advocacy with us. Allies is
mhm.
very important. Nothing has been done without allies. Even
Right.
going back to the civil rights movements, there were allies who had to assist in that movement. And so that's all we have here now. It's going to be another type of movement, and we have to come together.
Mm,
I'll tell you this quick story. I'm here. I'm a part of the rodeo here at Houston. It's one of the largest rodeos in the actual United States. I'm on what's called the Black Heritage Committee, and we have a day that we celebrate Western culture for African Americans or Blacks. I had two actual HBCUs, which is historically Black college bands, come and play, and they both did solo drum lines. Each was a drum line they played individually. So they're like, okay, that's good, that's good. But when I tell you, Kristine, how it moved me
mm,
when they played together, the loudness that I heard that was so different from the singularity. I just said, I said out loud in the room I was in, do you hear that? Do you hear the difference when we come together, how loud we can be? That's my call from now on moving forward. I'll use that example every time I
mm.
speak of why we have to come together.
Just gave me chills,
The
just for
the
my whole body.
division that we are experiencing, we cannot allow it to continue. We have to come together. We will win together because it's so much, many more of us than people who want to be oppose us. And so I
Mm.
think that's the most powerful thing I've experienced. I'll use that every time I speak because it moved me so much in the room I was in. I said it out loud. Do you hear that? Do you hear the difference?
Mm.
And so I'll speak on that forever because it's forever changed me.
Wow, that just the music, we know there's musical therapy, musical healing. Music is such a collective, right? It brings humans together
Yes.
regardless of your taste, your style, your age. It's the thing. So what a powerful analogy, Anita, that you get to take that into your, like you're doing right here, your interviews, your motivational speaking, your stage work, and just the power in numbers. I put that a lot in our copy
Hmm.
at the Alliance, being the director of social. I literally feel a tremendous responsibility to the storytelling that my particular board role entails. And power in numbers, a collective, that's a
Yes.
term. It's like the collective, the power in numbers, that's going to move the dial forward. And to your point right now, wow, do we need that in like truckloads? So love that. I'm probably going to steal it. I always give props to people. You heard my
I'm
Oprahism.
receiving my props. As
I
long as
will
you give
let
me
them know where I
Anita
got it.
Legacy Blue.
Anita Legacy Blue ism. See, I can say I've gone to the
Yes.
Church of Anita. Sorry, Oprah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a new
Yep.
fangirl.
That's right.
So that also brings me back to a couple things that you said that I am so curious about because I have my own. I'll say for me, when I say checkered, I just mean layered and complicated. My sort of coming out story, unlike my wife, sounds she was a very young little girl and she was very clear and she was aware. That was not my coming of age, lesbian identified, gay identified, she, her identified story. So you mentioned 14. So I'm gonna take us all back for just a minute. You're living in the South. You are with a single mother and you're 14 and probably, like most 14-year-olds starting to have all the feelings and all the things. Tell us a little bit about that. And like I know that's a 3-hour conversation, but what are some of the storytelling and the pivotal points of that experience in life that you bring to your coaching and your development and people that you're leading?
Well, you said a lot with the South, right? Small town. I always, as an athlete too, so it wasn't the biggest secret. The whispers were around. I was very, closeted in my mind, but people were talking. And so one day, my mom, she just straight up asked me.
Wow.
She just asked me, and my mom was a stern woman. You didn't do much talking back. You didn't have the kids today. No,
They
they
would have
ain't
never
no
survived.
express yourself. No, what you need me to do, where you need to be, and that was it. As the oldest, but she asked me straight up, are you gay? And I
Wow.
said, I could not lie. I could not say lie. I said yes, but I was very scared, and she didn't say anything after that. She never spoke of it again. She didn't treat me different, like did not love me, but it wasn't. She didn't scold me, but she didn't say it's okay. She didn't say I love you, no matter what. It was just she asked me, I answered, and that was it. We never discussed it even any deeper. I can honestly say now, my mom was a survivor of what the life she created, right? And so she cared and took care of us, no doubt. She was a Head Start educated teacher. She loved kids. The love or the affection wasn't super strong
Mhm.
for us, for her own children. Not that she didn't care about us or
Yeah.
love us, but
Yeah.
she was surviving, right? Like you spoke on. And, I don't have a lot of time to give a lot of energy to whatever y'all doing. Y'all have to do what I say because we're surviving out here.
That's right.
And so I think, I love her to when I meet her again.
Mm.
And I am a huge part of her. If you saw a picture of her, you would see we are twins. So I am a spitting image of her. And she taught me how to be strong. She taught me how to be neat, clean, and show up, be responsible. And I got everything of who I am today from her,
Mm.
from loving kids, from being an advocate, for being there for people. She was always there, a fun person. She was a very fun person. But just that little part that I wish I might have had a little more of. But, I definitely give it now as a mother and a grandmother and a
Mm.
wife to nieces and nephews and grandchildren. I love on them because I know how that feels. It goes back to,
Mm.
people just want to be loved, to be seen, and to get a hug or a kiss and say, how you doing? I'm proud of you. And I know I do that. I do that intentionally with
Wow.
people because I know how that feels for a person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you're so aware, you're so tapped into the
Yeah.
fact that that was a desire and a void. And again, doesn't
Mhm.
mean you didn't feel love and safety
No.
and, support, but it's a
No.
different thing than that very matriarchal, motherly kind of doty feeling. And, Anita, I would just love to hear. So you have children and grandchildren and a spouse. You kind of
Hmm.
just mentioned it, but life's full.
Yeah.
Busy,
Very.
busy.
Very, very. So,
Oh.
my wife, we will have been together this year, married 10 years. So we're planning something. Pray everything works out
Mm.
with everything else. But so we've been together 13 years. So we have a blended family of 6 adult kids and 9 grandchildren. And so I am the mother of one with 1 grandchildren, and my wife has 5 with 8 grandchildren. But just was out shopping yesterday, planning an Easter egg hunt at our house for them, and we try to get together often to show them family, to show them love, to show them, this is your cousin. Y'all should have relationships, and so we're intentional about that as well. And so we just do the best we can with what we have, but we do want to bring family together and make them be aware of
Mm.
family and what that means to be together and eat together and hang out and enjoy one another. So we are very intentional
Mm.
in that. So we really love the kids.
Well, just that representation, it's a little bit of that see do, that you're
Right.
talking about. It's
Absolutely.
like that that
Hmm.
that family bond looks and sounds and feels and is different for every household. But what a fortunate thing that your offspring and that your blended family gets to see that. That's such a gift. So I'm going to say for the record, I have met your wife twice being at the Alliance national conferences and so on. And last year, you two did and I don't know if it was impromptu, you got thrown in the fire or what, but I have video of it on my iPhone sitting right here and
Wow. Okay.
photos. Don't worry. I'm kind. It's not I mean, it's great footage, but it was just so
No, you can
fun to,
share it.
yeah, it
Share it.
was just so
Mhm.
sweet and fun to see. I think I did share some of it on the Western Washington Instagram account, but to see you guys dancing and having fun and we put on a big drag show at our national event for those listening that have not gone. And if you're a real estate professional, do not miss the next one. But it was just so sweet to see you both there and bonded and supportive. And your wife's suit was on point, like
Yes, it
on
was.
point. It was like this
So
artist motif. It was very cool.
yes, I definitely want to give her a shout out to have been with me now 13 years. I've been busy. I was active duty military, having to travel with that and then travel with the Alliance, and brought her with me every chance I got. She has been my rock, been there, to support me, and we have a lot of fun together. We do
Mm.
have fun. She wasn't supposed to be kind of in the number like she was when we did the show, but we kind of talked about it in the back. I said, "Oh, just dance around. I'm going to
I'm
bring you
going
in.
for it.
We're going to do it." And so it just went perfectly, right?
Oh,
From the lights popping on, because we watched it multiple times, of course. And then the lights just popped on all of a sudden at the right moment, and she just danced around. And it was a fun, fun time. And we truly enjoyed that. But she is a rock for me in doing what I'm doing and allowing me to do it with
mm.
no, pressure of, you're doing too much. When you're going to slow down. She's like, no, keep going. This is who you are. And
Oh.
that's one of the reasons I love you. So,
Whew.
shout out to my whole family. I have sisters, brothers that support me. I'm huge in my church family. Kind of everywhere I have been blessed to have some really, really wonderful people who support me and love on me regardless of, just love me for who I am and not
Isn't that
what
so
I represent sometimes.
wow, you touched on something so important when you're traveling for work, and that could be
Mhm.
insert any career clearly. But, it does take that special sauce of the spouse or, the person at home. I mean, it could be a best
Mhm.
friend, it could be a parent, or it could be a love relationship, but sort of that anchor, that person that's like,
Mhm.
okay, is the roof cleaned, or we've got an accident on the furnace, or just the things, right? Just life. Gosh, for
Right.
alone having children and grandchildren and pets. So I think that's just such an important thing to give that honor and that gratitude, because it takes
Yeah.
everybody on deck, right, Anita? It's not a one person show ever.
Never.
That's
Nope.
for sure.
Not at all.
So real estate, like, we talk about this all the time at our breakout rooms at the Alliance. We talk about it from the main stage speakers that are realtor professionals, be it a CEO, be it a broker team, be it somebody from a title and escrow company, and so on and so forth. What has been the biggest surprise for you, Anita? You have been very transparent and humble that, you haven't been in real estate forever. It's your second career.
Mhm.
Jumping into it with all this, as we said, when opportunity knocks, you had the tools in the tool bag to look at your mentor and say, yes, like, I'll do this. Let's jump in. But
Mhm.
what has that been like personally, navigating it, the ups, the downs, the lessons? Tell me a little bit about your real estate journey so far.
It's been challenging just getting started. I didn't have, he was a great guy, but we didn't live like in the same city. So we weren't able to get together
Right.
as much. I've kind of moved a couple of times. I
Mhm.
think I found my home now with EXP
Oh,
Realty. Shout out, give
good.
them a little plug.
Yay.
But it was a journey to find where I am now. You have experiences with different brokerages.
Mhm.
It's all good and dandy when they're talking to you to get you to come aboard, but then it kind of falls through the cracks. And some of that was my experience. But I am feeling good about where I am now because what is most important for anyone in real estate is just that mentorship. When you call, the phone is answered, or if it's not answered, it's going to be called within the hour. You'll get a call back. Because normally, when people are calling someone, they're needing your help, they're needing some kind of response.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important for anyone in real estate to find that mentor, that organization that can support you as well with whatever they have and tools and resources, constantly being innovative, trying to find the newest thing to help you. And that's what I feel like I've found where I am right now. And so I just encourage people to find what fits you, and don't be afraid to move if you have to. Don't be
Mhm.
stuck just
Mhm.
because you feel like you have a loyalty. But if you're not growing or getting what you need personally, step out and
That's
go
right.
try something different for your advancement. And that's been what I've been able to do. And I'm just grateful for it, that I was able to see, to say, hey, I don't want to do this, but I have to because I'm not growing here. I'm kind of stagnant and I need something different.
Yeah. Really, really good sound advice. And it's true. You find your real estate home, your people, your group where you feel that love and that support. And you are right. I've been doing real estate for 12 years, my second career. And when I have a oh shit moment, even with my tenure, which that's why I love real estate, it happens often because I think anybody's lying that says, I mean, for one, our industry's changing like lightning. Two, the forms
Yes.
change like lightning. The lawsuits and the need to pivot changes like lightning. So when somebody says they're bored in real estate, I do one of these, Anita. I'm like, let's check that pulse, because that's a little bit terrifying. But it
May
is
not
an
work.
honor and a privilege to be at the helm of someone's largest financial decision, right? And so many of the
Yeah.
things we've
Yeah.
talked about here in this podcast, like a sense of safety, of home, of familia.
Yeah.
You can't go out there and conquer the world and slay dragons and be, Anita Legacy Blue without that core, right? That center. So for one
Absolutely.
thing, that's so important to me. There's the logistics and the ups and downs days, but man, the honor, to be helping with folks with one of the most important decisions of their life. Feels pretty
Yeah.
darn good most days.
It's a huge journey that I am privileged to have somebody go through. For me, it's every client's different, but when you can walk them through the walk, and they're pretty receptive to what you're telling them, if they don't fight you too much, it should work out, right? Because
Yeah.
you do have that team around you with your mortgage lender, your title, all the other things that you have to bring to them to get them to the table and sign on a dotted line and give them the keys. So I
Yes.
think that's very important. My little tagline is "Let me get you home."
Yeah.
And so you can feel like this, where you can come, and this is your soul, your silence, your peace is so important for people. And I know it's one of the biggest dreams that people have, and I'm so grateful that I get to do that for people and with them.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty darn cool. It is a
Yeah.
very, very unique career and profession. And, on Superpower, it's not all real estate professionals. I have the honor and privilege of having guests from all different walks of life, but it is always fun when we can have that connection and that familiar admiration for what we do. So as we're starting, I can't believe it's already starting to come to the end, but as we start to close out your episode here, Anita, couple things is I would be remiss because, like I said, I studied up, I read a little bit more than I already knew about you before I jumped into this episode, but all your information will be attached to this episode. Folks can read and learn and pick up the phone and call you, follow you on Instagram, etc. But I want to hear from your voice, even if it's just the names and maybe like a line or two about what they do. What are the pivotal organizations? You mentioned like I'm on the local DEI board, but I really want to like have you call them out. What are they? And what is your role there? And why are they so needed and important right now in life?
Wow.
You're like, that's going to take a minute.
Let's start at the top. Through being the president of the alliance, I continue to serve on the board with them. So it's the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance. I am on the board of directors as the immediate past president. Through that role, I've been able to get on now the National Association of Realtors, NAR's board of directors. I have served on several committees the past couple of years with them as the diversity committee, multicultural, broker engagement, and also housing opportunities just at the national level for NAR. So now I'm down on the local level here in Houston. We call it Homes and Rentals. So it's an association, but we don't call it Houston Association of Realtors anymore. It's changed to Homes and Rentals. Now I'm serving on 3 committees with them. Professional development is one of the committees, government affairs, and policy and advocacy for my actual county, which is Fort Bend County outside of Houston. I live in Fresno, Texas, outside of Houston. And so those are some of the things I'm doing currently. I'm actually a committee person with the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, the Black Heritage Committee. I serve there. Also, I'm a member of HBRA as well as I'm going to be joining ARIA as I do that panel next week with them as just committee persons and being involved in those particular organizations. I also serve in my church organization in hospitality as an usher for my church, and I'm also the trainer for our actual hospitality ministry,
Hmm.
serving there. So I don't think I left out too much, but those are all the things that I'm doing. I'm also with EXP Realty.
Yeah.
I'm on their leadership committee. We have a pride called One EXP, and I'm on the Pride Committee Advisory Board with them as vice chair for that committee this year. So those are a few of the
Nice.
things that I'm doing and are involved in currently with advocacy, leadership, and being a voice and in the room to bring whatever is needed from me to those committees and those organizations.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. That was pretty good. You got through, I think, most of it. I'm sure there's
I
one or
feel like I
two
got
that
there.
we'll have to read up online, but I wanted to actually give the moment and the honor to hearing the names and why they're important to you and why the work is so needed. So thank you. Thank you. A couple things before I ask my famous burning question.
Okay.
Your book, and I know we're
Mhm.
kind of winding down with just a couple minutes here, but tell us the name. Give us a 1, 2, 3 of what motivated you and how did that all come up? And, not a lot of people can say, I wrote a book. So tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that and then where we can find it.
Awesome. So the first book is called Breakthrough Success, with Anita Renee Blue. That is actually my government name. And so I started doing that. I was trying to get towards retirement. What am I going to do? I always wanted to put some of my story in writing. And this one kind of talks about me coming out, right,
Mm,
and being in the military. So it's my title to my chapter. It is both books are compilation books with other people in them, but I have the first chapter in each book.
mm,
So it's called in Breakthrough Success. It's called Becoming a Leader While Hiding in Plain Sight.
mm. Wow.
Because through the military,
Great
I
title.
came in and was it was a secret of I had to hide my identity and who I was. At the very end, it wasn't too much of a secret, but I just was emboldened at the end to as things were changing, right? And then we got to the Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and then we got to marriage equality. So that's kind of the story that you'll hear in Breakthrough Success. That book there. So the other one is called it's the same book. These two books on the side of me. One just has my cover and my picture on it, and the other one is the other authors that are in the book. And that book is called Our Shades of Black History. I do a actual a semi podcast, if you will, on Fanbase. Who originally started on a Clubhouse, the app. Both of them are apps. I'm now on Fanbase, where I do a morning show from 8 a.m. to 9:15 Central, and we have Mental Health Monday, Winning Wednesday, and Fun Turn Up Friday. We call it every day. Now we're talking about what's in the news, but we kind of celebrate those things, the initial titles. And so, Our Shades of Black History. We were on Clubhouse. We were kind of celebrating Black History Month, and I wanted to bring up other people who have done things in Black history other than the ones we know, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. And we wanted to get other people's stories out there. One of our actual members on the show with me, she's an attorney, April Williams. She has a publishing company. And as we were talking about the different people, she said, we need to write a book. And everybody kind of blew it off. Nobody answered and responded, because it's going to take a little energy and time to do that. And we went further in the month, and she said it one more time, y'all, we need to write a book.
She's like, did you hear me?
Yeah. And I was like, you know what, April? Okay, let's do it. And so we got together, 8 of us, and decided we wanted to do this book called Our Shades of Black History. It's just individual stories of men and women from moments in time in our lives. And this cover here, we decided on what we wanted the cover to look like. So these are like younger pictures of us from where we kind of started to where we are today. In the back of the book, you'll see the updated pictures. And then this symbol here is a symbol of perseverance, how we persevered through those trials and tribulations. And now we can honestly say we've triumphed through all of what we went through individually. And so that's just that book, Our Shades of Black History, our stories, as
Right.
stories are trying to be erased and marginalized, or people can find information. We wanted to write some of what we had as history for us. And this is the same book. It just has my cover, my actual face on the cover.
Wow.
And so both of these books you can find on Amazon, Amazon.com. You can put in Breakthrough Success, Anita Blue or Anita Legacy Blue, and in Our Shades of Black History. Kind of scroll through if you
Yeah.
want my individual cover, or if you want the cover with everyone on it. You can get either one of those. And please, if you want to support, definitely go out and get these stories. Even though they're stories of persons of color, you can relate to them, as even Kristine and I have shared together as single parent, families she and I came from. That doesn't have anything to do with race. That has to do with people and existing and being brought up the way we were. So I think it's very important for people to understand that stories resonate no matter who you are. And so I think that's what we wanted to share. And we are excited about that. We did some promo last month in Black History Month again. It's been a year, going on 2 years since we wrote it. There's 2 volumes. My wife is in the second volume. She's written a part of Our Shades of Black History as
Nice.
well. And so I'm trying to keep that going. And we're looking for people who
Okay.
want to share their stories. So definitely want to put that out there. Contact us. It's at jumptimepublishing.com. You can scroll down, become an author, answer the questions, and our attorney, April Williams, the publisher, will get back with you.
Oh, Amazing, amazing. I'm definitely going to order it. And I've got about 3 people. I'm going to do an intro email with you. So I know they're going to
Awesome.
want to
Thank
jump
you.
all over that. Thank you so much for putting copy on pages, in apps, on podcasts now more than ever, with the extraction
Hmm.
of words, with, the whitewashing of this country's history that can never, ever, ever, ever be denied, erased, or taken away, whether
Right.
it's removed from a word or a book. I'm going to flip out and go on a tangent here, but just thank you, Anita Legacy Blue, your voice, your stories, the community, us leaning in to the historical context that we are all a part of is pivotal right now. So thank you, thank you, thank
Yes.
you. So, as we wind down here, this episode of Superpower, I do have a question that I ask every guest. If you had to choose one superpower that you get up every day and it is one of the shining lights that you put into the world, Anita, what would that superpower be?
To be there for people, to
Mm,
care about people, to reach out to people. People come across my mind, I'll send them a text if I haven't heard from them, how they're doing, what are you up to? See people on, the social media platforms. I always try to comment to be encouraging. So I think my superpower is being available and encouragement, wanting people to succeed. I always ask about family. That's what's most important to people. How's your family? How you doing? Even if I don't know the names, I don't remember much. I'll say, well, how's your family?
mm,
And that's an easy way to just get people to start talking a conversation is to check in on people. Me and another friend, she always says, check on your strong friends, right? Everybody
mm,
like myself, this is what I do, but I do need people to check on me, and I do appreciate it when it happens. I
mm,
have my mentor in real estate. We did an event here in Houston. I'm a part of that, and she was there, and she called me the next day. The next morning, she said, Anita, I'm so proud of you.
mm,
And it just, I was so just moved by her thinking of me to call me to say
mm,
how she felt about me. And that's,
mm.
I can't say it enough. That's all we really want in this world is people to recognize and see you and say, girl, you're doing that. I'm proud of you. I don't know how you do it, but
You're
you're doing
doing
it,
it.
right? So the superpower of that, loving on people, showing up, being committed, supporting people, I think that's one of the biggest things that I give to this world.
Anita, we all echo that. Encouragement, support, you bring it in so many ways. And I've been witness to it in just professionally knowing you for going on 2 years, even across the country, even through the Alliance. This has been an absolute pleasure. You are an incredible human. Keep doing it. Keep going. We're going to keep encouraging you. We're going to keep checking in on you. And your work is invaluable. And it was such an honor to have you on the show. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I cannot leave without saying how phenomenal you are and what you're doing, what y'all are doing in Western Washington. We appreciate it from the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance. Keep pushing forward, keep being you, keep giving, keep loving, and showing and shining as who you are with through your superpower. So thank you so much, Kristine.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Anita. Thanks so much for joining me for this episode. If you enjoyed it, I hope you'll make it easy for others to enjoy it too. You can do that by subscribing, writing a review, and sharing episode links with others. Then you'll be my superhero.